Good afternoon, everybody. This is Ben Thorpe with Farm Equipment Magazine. Welcome to our latest webinar in conjunction with the North American Equipment Dealers Association. Today's presenter is Randy Ty, who's a product specialist with Iron HQ at Randall Riley. Now, before he gets started, I do have two quick things I'd like to tell you. So on your screen, there's a control panel at the bottom with a Q&A icon. You can click there to submit questions at any time during the presentation. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll answer as many as we can, time allowing. And we are recording the webinar as well, and we'll have a replay of it available to everybody who registered on the website. So that was all I had to cover. We're ready to get started. Thank you all for joining us. And Randy, I will throw it over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate the time here. Just to give people a little bit of a background where I'm coming from, I am a equipment dealer, sales rep. I've been in the industry all my life. My family had a dealership before I was born, and I started as a retail salesman in the ag industry at 18, and I'm 64 years old now. So certainly seen lots of ups and downs, lots of changes in the industry. Go through Randall Riley is a product specialist for Iron HQ. And the reason it drew me to this role was that I've used Iron HQ in all aspects and all roles of a dealership for the last 20 years. So see lots of ins and outs of it, certainly seen way of getting wins from your CRM, because it's very important that we have these tools, that we use them. Let's face it, a CRM can be something as simple as an Excel sheet with a bunch of names on it and phone numbers. That could be a CRM for the success of a dealership. So I'll just start into it here, get right into it. So the importance of getting buy-in, and that's from all areas of dealership, not just from the salesman or just the sales manager, because we want everybody to see the value in it and be able to work. Some of the things we want to add value to everybody's workday, and processes like auto notification, visual processes. Did something get sold? Do we have to send emails, follow up? As other things as simple as generate and checklist to communicate the success steps. It's just a great way of communicating with a whole range of people on your team on what needs to happen without, as I say, sending emails or posting notes and things like that. Central location for information pertaining to the sales process, what needs to be financed, what needs to be delivered, things like that is what a good CRM will get buy-in. Also keeping in a centralized spot credit information, credit apps, insurance paperwork, or trade payouts, all within that deal. So when let's say the salesman's out on the road getting things done and somebody at the office needs to finish up the paperwork and then you have that information at your fingertips without looking at multiple different spots. So being of value to the users and not just an added work process. We don't want people to say, oh gosh, I've got to put it in the CRM. We want to say, hey, I can find it in the CRM or that program, whether it be HQ or whatever. So getting buy-in from the whole group is important. If your CRM is to be used as a quoting tool, managing your inventory, engaging with the customers, you want it to be easy to use for your sales team. You want to be able to open it up, get in there. You also want to have them see some value to it. Whether it be lead generation here or visibility, understanding expectations. What are my margin expectations on this type of product and so on. If you're using it as a quoting tool, you need to be sure to be able to quote new, used, and multiple brands on the same quote. There's nothing more frustrating than having to get a pricing out of a web page and pricing out of a web page and combining those numbers, or worst case scenario, stapling it to one Excel sheet and handing it to your customer as a quote. And so bringing value to the people that are using it and also within the sales team, where, as I say, we can generate leads and visibility, and they're more comfortable using it, and so on. So one of the key things and what I hope to show you as we go through here, some processes and some ideas that whether you use it with your existing system or if you're looking at a system, what you want to be able to take into consideration when you're looking at a CRM per se or a quoting tool. So we'll start with the quoting part of it. And so we want fast and easy quoting. Everybody understands that we're doing a multiple unit deal, multiple combines, a couple headers, sprayer, whatever. That's a big package. It's multi-million-dollar package, and yes, it's going to take time to quote it. And we need those details. And we're talking millions of dollars here, but it also has to be quick and easy if you want to price that box blade that's out front, or a zero turn mower, or something that's a commodity type item that we need to hammer out a quote and get going. Like the old days where we just used to write it on the back of a business card and hand it to the guy, but systems were able to keep track on who was talking to who, and how many quotes we have out, and so on. So I said a little bit earlier that it's critical that the tool per se, we'll call it that, the tool has access to your inventory. And as I said earlier, you want to be able to quote, whether it be consignment pieces, as you can see I have here in the menu. Consignment pieces are in stock or on order, or even speculative trades. It's a very nice process to be looking at a potential trade. Not sure if you're going to get the deal, but you want to shop that around to a couple customers to pre-sell a trade, to be able to load that potential or speculative trade in the system to be able to quote. The other critical thing is to have updated costs in there. We need the relationship of work orders, what's been done, what is yet to be done, but also having the ability to make suggestions that, yes, I have X amount of dollars spent on this machine, but I'm going to add another $500 or $800 to deliver it, or so on. So being able to grab all ranges of your and make it fast and easy with updated costs is very, very important. Even the stuff on order, a lot of people forget about that. They don't put it in inventory until they receive it, where we could be pre-selling this stuff and pricing it ahead of time. Pricing from price books is also a very important portion of it. That be price books or OEM configurators that will populate appropriate information as you add items to your quote. So what I'm trying to say there is that quite often when we're building a quote manually, historically we put in the numbers, the items and the numbers that made a difference, the ones that had a cost to. For this option on this tractor is $100, I'll make sure I write that one down. But if we have a difficult process, we tend to forget the items that have no charge. Like on a large articulated tractor, maybe we don't write down no PTO, but it is important for the order people down the step of this deal to know what you wanted or what you didn't want, without having to chase you down X amount of days later when we're ready to order this item. What did we have on it? Or what did you want it? Did you want a PTO or not? So things like that, if we can build quotes from a configurator and or price books, and these are examples of the price books we have in our product, but if we have those price books available to us, it makes a lot nicer. Is tidier going across. It is everything we would need. And for returning that piece of equipment from the customer's inventory into another quote, X amount of months or years down the road, it's so nice to have all that detail there. So it's a very nice plus to be able to have something in the date pricing, as well as proper description and configuration without the risk of making a mistake typing in a code or something for an option. One of the other things it's another nice feature. They're all nice features, I know, but one of the things that stands out that makes everybody's job easier. We can be pricing home or on the side of the road or wherever we have internet access, but having easy access to predictable costs like flat rate costing for service requests, delivery fees, GPS kits, parts kits, all in one spot. So what I have here is just an example of our CRM. You went to a machine and clicked on other costs. These were flat rate costs. And you'll see where we have an option for 3 different options of GPS. And what that there is an example that you can delete the 2 options you don't want and be able to price that in, as compared to trying to chase somebody down in the GPS department. He's out getting things ready. You're trying to get a handle on what the prices are, slowing things up. What do I do? How much do I put on here? Quite often we guess too low. And so with this kind of information here, globally amongst your whole team, you can set, no, this is what our base price is for GPS, or this is our best base price to install his for this type tractor for this distance. And the beauty of a well-rounded system is that I can manage those costs to only show up on a quote on a pertaining machine. On this example is a certain model of tractor that these costs are related to. If it was a combine, they would have costs loaded in there. So when we can make things easier and make things show up faster and easier to work with, then what happens is we preload this stuff globally so everybody's working with the same page. Menu pricing. Okay, so menu pricing, not only inventory items, but of packages that might be offered at different times a year. Here again is something to speed up the process, get more interest from your team and so on if we have menu pricing. Now, of course, used equipment is the first thing we think of as menu price. Well, of course, that's the price we have of that machine. Done the work on it, we can predict what the work is on it, and this is the price we're going to sell for it. So that could be considered menu pricing as well, no doubt about that. But what I see more dealers doing, I know at the dealership that I was last at, we would use this quite a bit when we wanted somebody really to target something. It was easy for them to quote is the menu pricing. So in this example, I think there's quite a bit going on this time of year with the MacDon headers. People are pre-pricing before they're ordering. So here's an opportunity or a quote built for a 35-foot MacDon header, what it was designed to fit on, what options it has, and then a 40-foot down below. So the reality with this menu priced items is that it's already built. The salesman takes it. He just presses, in this system, and I'm sure others, you would just copy it and put your customer's name on it. Boom, it's priced. You know how many are being quoted out there. You, as a corporate side for ordering, you know how many have been quoted. We can pre-sell, but a salesman could grab this quote and in a matter of 3 or 4 clicks, he can have a quote ready for a customer. So these kind of things just make it easy and get your buy-in from your team, no matter what their level of computer savvy is or whatever. You'll have this information and it can just click. And things as simple as another commodity item here is these are fertilizer spreaders, by the way, and one is a 2-year extended warranty and one is standard no trade. And so these things pre-built, the salesman can grab one of them, 2 clicks, hand the guy a quote. It's just about as quick as handing him a flyer off your desk, except now everybody in the team knows that gentleman got a price on that spreader. And so it's good information for everybody down the road, not just the individual salesman that's quoting it. So that's a very popular item, menu pricing, and it's an easy tool to build, and it gives the salesman a lot of ability to quickly hammer out some on prices on what we may consider a commodity or a commonly priced or built item. Margin controls. Now, controls is a pretty strong word, maybe margin guidance. Quite often we've seen in the past where we have a meeting and then we say we're going to be here at this margin, we're at a different margin, and hey, we want to be aggressive on hay tools, so yes, it's margin X on everything else, but on hay tools it's margin Y. Things like that. A good quoting tool, you'll be able to roll that out where you can have setting target margins even for different products. So maybe a combine has one target margin, maybe a hay tools have another target margin, even down to the dollar value. So a $400,000 trade seems to be a small trade anymore, but a $400,000 trade has X margin, and a $35,000 used tractor has a different margin. So target margins can be preset and may vary by make, model, or type, giving your sales team the guidance to be able to price with confidence and reducing turnaround time. So again, it's a great tool. It's a great way for your team to get buy-in. It's communication to your sales team. It's the junior salesman scratching his head. What should I be asking on this grain cart compared to this tractor? He's waiting for a call back from the manager, whatever. He's not sure what to do. With these tools in front of him, he can go forward and build a lot of this stuff with confidence that is what everybody is the price, and that's where I am at. And so things like this, giving them guidance on margin expectations and things like that is a plus. So margin control is a bit of a strong word. Margin expectations might have been a better title for this slide. sense of reviewing the process, like trade appraisal or management approved process, can be handled quickly and accurately. So where this comes from is that whether you're down the hall at a different dealership or at the same dealership, but just down the hall, you're waiting to see somebody. Everybody's busy. Man, it's crazy times these times as far as the phones and meetings and so on, Zoom calls, webinars. And so the idea is to be able to communicate this stuff. So this is a little smaller screen, but this top one is an example of a process that we use for appraising trade-ins. So in this top half of the screen, where that red box is around, is an example of a process that's built where every trade that's appraised shows up on this list. And it shows up in the order they're appraised, and they show up the minute the appraisal was hit saved on the appraisal. So the cool thing about this is that that salesman can be confident that he doesn't have to call you. Did you see my trade in? Hey, when are you going to get back to me on numbers? He wants a quick turnaround time. All of a sudden, he knows that one, you're getting an email that automatically that you just added a trade, and two, it's on your dashboard as a manager to be able to see and decide what numbers are on it. And then depending on the system, a good system here, you'll see we're able to either edit or view the appraisal. We can put notes in the appraisal. And in this system, as an example, the manager can go in and edit that appraisal, edit the trade-in, whether there's not enough reconditioning or whether there's the cash price is not high enough maybe for a used loader tractor these days. And it compared to what Iron Guide says it's worth as just a reference point. So we have that information at a snapshot live in front of the appropriate people that you can get the answer back to them. In fact, if you go in and edit that appraisal, it actually will edit the opportunity for the salesman and it'll be done. So you don't have to send an email back, say you need to be $500 more on the recon or whatever the comment is. You have to hope that he gets that put in. He has to take the time to put it in. You have to hope he puts it in correctly, and you have to hope he has that done before he mentions to the customer. With a process like this, where it's centralized, you're able to put that information in, make those adjustments, edit his trade, and that salesman can, using his mobile app and saying, "Oh, I got the final numbers on that deal. Let me call my guy, and I'll let him know we can take that deal or take his offer, or no, this is where we're going to be." So, speeding up the process will offset a lot of the worries that somebody might have as how long this is going to take. Or this is a lot of added information, a lot of added work for me, what benefit for me? Well, you're going to get your trade-in information a lot quicker with a system like this. That really picks up a lot of people's opinion of something. If they can get their deals done faster, they can get their information back. So just an example where we're comparing what the salesman said it was worth, compared to Iron Guide said it's worth, including the reconditioning and the opportunities there to click to see the full details of what's being quoted. An interesting side note that with a portion of your CRM that will maintain ongoing appraisals, as we have here, we can search all past appraisals that have ever been done. And so some of our dealers that might have this product for 10 years can look back at every model tractor of that model that they have appraised over the last 10 years. Did they get it? Did they not get it? Where's the book that Iron Guide said it's been worth? How has that changed? So really just having those appraisal spots a big plus, and being able to filter either by type, make, or model previous appraisals onto that same product, you'd find very, very useful. And other people, even the salesman looking at what they should put in it or what they should start with, could look at past appraisals of what we've done before in the past. Of course, going along with having a centralized area to appraise stuff and be able to communicate back and forth, we can also have past sales. So this bottom half of this slide is an example that a good CRM will allow you to grab everything that you've sold. And on this search here is a used item. So it only gives us used pieces. They can be filtered by make, type, or model, and we can have a quick glance at if it was a certain model tractor, Magnum, a used Magnum 180, whatever the number would be. I could search up all the Magnum 180s I've sold in the past forever, as long as I've had Iron HQ, and I can look at who we sold it to them, how much we sold it, and what our cost was at the time. That is a fantastic report. I have some dealers with over 10,000 reported sales in this window because they've had it 6 or 8 years, and it's almost their own iron guides reference point. It's what we have done with our equipment here in our backyard. So I'll show you how I would have used this information even a little bit deeper than this, but these are two very common reports for us that gives us this kind of information at a glance without kind of rewriting the whole book on how to do it. One thing that is very important, and again, will bring on involvement from your sales department when they see that this helps them become better hunters. I think it's fair to say over the last little while, it's been different times with our business. There's been lots of activity. We've seen lots of pent up enthusiasm, I guess, or desire to get those pieces because we're short of inventory. But I think a lot of people will agree that the things might change, might go back to what they were. And so these next few tabs, slides are examples of becoming hunters, not just gatherers, but hunters. And so a good CRM tool can really be a lead generation tool, not just a place to keep track of details. Things that help the sales team find more business and make them more money is always a popular tool. So if you can show a good, young, aggressive salesman, this is how we find different information, and this is who you should go see. It's always a very popular discussion and a popular reason and a good reason to use the product. So this one window is an example of and this is one I use extensively as a salesman over my years, and encouraged all the salesmen that I managed and worked with going forward after that to use this. And it's called My Prospects. And so it's just a report we build. It gives a place for almost like a whiteboard for all the different people I've got looking for things. And it doesn't have to be looking for something to buy. As you can see, I have some coded in here. This is the list of people that I've come across over the last 12 months that this upcoming season I should talk to him about demonstrating a baler, or that he's looking for a specific item, or I want to invite him to a combine clinic or a hay tool clinic. And so you'll see this little blue number up here. That means that this salesman has 216 different prospect force in here that can be filtered by type and make. And you can look at just tractors in a tractor in a spring season, or look at just hay tools coming into the hay products. It's a great place to keep everything as compared to having them on a scribbler, on a notebook that was last month's notebook. I got to go get it at home, or an Excel sheet, because of course this is linked all to your customers. So all their information, their email address, phone numbers, what you said to them last time, what they own is all connected to this. So you're not retyping a bunch of stuff. And one cool thing is that in our program, I'm sure many others, that if you put in as an example, this Heston, this salesman that's made as a demo account, this customer is looking for a Heston big square banner. Just a quick note about that's what he's looking for. If I have one of my other salesmen in my group quoting something and is looking at bringing in a used Heston big square baler, it can be set up that I will get a notification that he might have one coming in to match my prospect, or vice versa. So it's a really nice tool there, especially, for the everybody's busy. We don't cross paths. We don't always have Monday morning meetings. Hey, I'm looking on this. Everybody's going hard, or multiple stores across a big range. It's a really nice tool when you have somebody looking for something that from 4 stores over, you can find out we could be looking at one, and maybe with some encouragement, you can get the help, get the deal done. You know where to take it. You know what to quote the guy. A lot of this is a very valuable stuff. And of course, we won't talk a lot about mobile apps here because not everybody has them. But in this situation, we have a mobile app where you could be at a farm show, and with about 4 different clicks, either on your phone or your tablet, you could answer. You just talked to a guy about looking for a combine, and it's in your prospect list for it. I do recommend. I do recommend that each salesman has their own window with My Prospects, but this is a great way to communicate from the sales team to management if the manager has everybody's prospect for, because you can imagine that if 7 out of the 10 salesmen each have 5 prospects to demonstrate a round banner, and we want to be aggressive in that round baler market. Boy, there's some great intel. Should I order an extra one? Should I order one specially equipped because it's got some unique things on it I want to make sure we demonstrate? So this isn't, hey, what are you doing? It's, this is what I'm going to need in the future, and these are the things that I need to be aware of when I'm ordering. I was my last 6 years was managing whole goods inventory for a 19-store complex, and it was great feedback if I knew that, hey, we've got a lot of activity here, or if I was swapping iron with somebody and maybe he had an unusual piece, I could quickly scan down and see if one of my team had anybody interested in it. So it's a great communicator. You'll see salesmen enjoy using this. They'll be able to share information with their manager and with their teammates on what looking for, and satisfy our customer needs quicker and put more money in our salesmen's jeans. So it's a very popular aspect of our CRM, and probably in lots of CRMs. Along with the same idea of becoming hunters. You want your CRM to make sure that you can quickly and easily, not a drawn out process where you need to get somebody else involved to look it up for you, but a quick and easy process that you can just look at your customer's equipment to see who has what. Lots of times we're trying to find a trade. And boy, we could use more. Well, we just went through a system. We could use more, a time frame. We could use more of everything. But the reality is, we could use more loader tractors. Or I've got a guy who's looking for a specific item, and I know there's some out there, but how do I find it? Well, this is a type of search that, in this example, I had a customer that was looking for, he burnt his, was looking for a New Holland skid steer loader, and out of the previous 9,000 pieces of equipment, I have 95 that have a New Holland skid steer loader. Are they somebody I could reach out and sell them a new skid steer loader, take theirs in a trade? Do they have an older model and I have a newer model? I could just move them up, things like that. And this can turn into a direct marketing campaign with everybody with skid steer loaders, or this could turn into a mailer, or heavens, you could print it and have a call sheet if you want, and just make notes of that. But it's just a great excuse and a great way of finding customers. I'm looking for something like this. Are you interested in trading? Whatever. And so it's another great way to help you generate leads using your CRM and using the tools that are there, and getting buy-in from your sales team when they see that I can quickly find a home for this recent trade I had, or I've got my best buddy looking for something. I've got 5 I could call and see if I can work them into a deal. So again, offering them processes to help them be hunters, being the go-to place for information to help me generate business, is always popular with the sales team. And it should be. A couple other little things that I like to throw on the dashboard of a salesman is our industry is so tied to financing, leasing, interest-free terms, things like that. And we all get those notices. There's lots of systems out there, both with warranty as an example, that, oh, is the specific date, whether it be a warranty date or an interest-free date, runs out on the 15th of this month. Well, lo and behold, I get an email on the 14th of this month, and with all the other white noise and all the other things going on, I probably forgot about it by the 16th. And so we all look at each other and say, well, geez, we have those processes. How come we're not getting any results from that? And that's the problem, is with all these snippets of information we get all the time, sometimes it's hard to put them together. So I'm a visual guy that needs things put in front of me over maybe a little longer period of time than just one email. And so I built this report, and this one on the left is an example of a special finance date. Now, whether that's interest-free or lease return, or I'm old enough to remember the days we would chase people when they had 50% of their contract paid for because they had good equity, and what a great way to move somebody into a new machine, keep the payments the same, back in warranty, and all those kind of things. But with it in front of me all the time, in this, just in a little corner of my dashboard, I have here 7 guys that their finance date, whichever one I picked, is going to happen the next 90 days. So this gentleman's name is in my dashboard and in front of me for the next 90 days rolling. I see him at the parts counter. Am I heading his direction? He's in for something else. I see him at the parking lot of at the mall, and it triggers my memory that, oh yeah, his financing, interest-free, is running out on that combine. Or the same thing could be said for warranty. Maybe, I know this guy, he's had some issues. Is it something that he'd like to get back into warranty with a new piece? So again, these type of things that are built and set ahead of time, and not just said, oh, if they dig into it, they'll figure it out. We put these tools in front of them to make the system more enjoyable, more better rewards for them, but more interest in them, easier to find stuff, all in one spot. And again, turning us back into hunters like we've been, and not just gatherers like the last a year or so. Now we get really to the CRM portion. A lot of that stuff was details and reports we pull out of the system, whether they come from the CRM portion of it, or whether they come from other details we have in there from the quoting tools. This is an example of what the CRM portion of customer information will be there. We have all their, whether they're ABC customers, fleet customers. It's so nice to get a report and say, okay, we're coming into the fleet season. It's a pre-order time of year. I need to go down everybody that's a fleet customer and make sure I talk to them first. As you can see, we can trigger reports that give me every customer that's a fleet customer. But in this example is all our opportunities. We don't want to ever get rid of opportunities. Some systems only keep them if they're sold. And I personally believe that's a mistake, because what I want to look back and see, if he didn't take it, why didn't he take it? Or what did we talk about last time? Where can I jog my memory and what the holdup was, and so on. So in a good system, you're going to be able to retrieve all opportunities ever given to this customer, whether they were sold or lost. It wouldn't matter. They should all be there, and we actually can filter whether they're closed won. But think of your guy that likes to trade something every 2 or 3 years. It is such a pleasure to be able to look at how he traded last time, what the hours on his trade-in were, what the difference price was, what the payments, did he move up a size, all these things that can educate you to go out and see him with half the process already done before he even asks you, because you notice that his interest-free is coming up in 30 days. We all know that we have a lot more success if we're first person in, and that if we drive the conversation as compared to waiting, which so many of us do, unfortunately, when we lease equipment and the lease runs out and the customer shows up and says, the finance department just said my lease is over. What am I supposed to do now? And he's been around to 4 or 5 places talking already, where we could be the first guy in, have all the details, make it comfortable, and be able to hopefully close the deal. So just another tool to help us become hunters, or continue to be hunters. This next segment is more on the management side, but good data will also help the sales side if the management side is making good decisions to help us sell more. That's all. We all want to pull the same way. We all want, sales want to sell more, and management wants to sell more, and the manufacturers want to sell more. So we're all going the same direction. But this is making use of your data, and this is a chart that was built, and it's an example of the loss or the sales history search that you seen earlier, where it showed how much items got sold for and so on. And this is just something that was put together from that information at a dealership where they took a certain model combine and a certain year combine, and they posted all their sales and posted them against what the Iron Guide said it was worth. And again, it's, there's data out there. What do we do with it? So here's an example of what I do with data, is that this orange line is what the trade guide said the cash value of this machine was on a quarterly basis. And this chart runs from 2014 to 2020, I believe, by the quarter. And so you can see that the trending of what the Iron Guide said the product worth, and you can see where our sales were of that same product compared to earlier on in its life of the Iron Guides. And so it was used as an example that, oh, I sold a 5-year-old combine for 120% of Iron Guides. I should be able to sell a 1-year-old combine for 20% of Iron Guides. And this was just kind of black and white. What do I do with this data? It could be used that if you predict where this orange line is going to go for the next 12 months and where you want to be when you're buying stuff for down the road a ways, what predictions we have. So certainly Iron Guides has some tools in there already for forecasting and so on, but this is just one single tool that the dealership used on multiple pieces and types of equipment as a comparison, built a template, and then managed it, and even had the quarterly average reconditioning cost for that same model combine across the back. So any of you people that are watching that are into the doing some predicting, want to understand where you are in the marketplace with your example, that this tool can give you a good CRM, you should be able to go back, gather this information up somehow, and look at what you have done in the past compared to I don't know what the term would be, but in comparison to what a third party suggestion would sell for, and helping you predict where you're going to be. Looking at other data, lots of us look at what's, in fact, the previous screen was, what have I sold? What have I sold? Everybody want to look at that. But if we're able to gather up what we've been quoted, or what has been quoted, I know I use that all the time on inventory ordering, and what we should stock, because we all have these travelers, TSMs, whatever term you want to use. I'm old enough to call them blockmen. Would show up on Thursday and say, we've got to put an order in by Friday, and I think you should take 10 of these. In my mind, I always went, guy's got 10 left over. He's here for me to take them because nobody else would. And how do I look? Oh, well, I can see I sold X. But especially in this past times we've gone through, did we sell the machine that the customer wanted, or did we sell the machine that we had available? And he needed one, so he took that one. And so this is a great example. This is of a large dealership that does lots of quoting, lots of team members. And as an example, it's been filtered to say Brandt. It's a very high-end brand of conveyors and grain carts and so on. I'm sure you've seen them around. And as an example, this report allows the person running the report to filter by brand, but in this case was just filtered by the brand. And you can see that there was 800 and, I can't read that, 800 and some quotes done in the last 12 months for Brandt. And you can see here that it's filtered by well, I quoted 10 of these and only sold one. Does it warrant a phone call to maybe the salesman that did most of them, and have him say, oh, well, yeah, I couldn't get them, or yes, they turned out to be too expensive. Every one of my guys decided to go this model. Okay, so those are the things that can tell us what we should order and give us information to make a good business decision based on data and information, and not only what I sold. I sold 10 this year, I should order 12. Well, maybe I could sell 14 if I had a better fitting model, things like that. So using your data to forward the cause and make good decisions, of course, makes everybody happy. That's why we want salesmen to do quotes, whether they're going to sell it or not. Get the quote in there. Don't just quote the ones you sell, because maybe you quoted 5 other models the guy would really prefer, but you wound up selling that one. So that's where we get buy-in of do quotes, because you're going to use information from those quotes for lots of different things. History, I showed you that on a previous screen, where it's centralized for the salesman look at and reference point. But here's a little bit bigger example of it, and you'll see the arrow to the right is pointing at, in this particular situation, this dealer has almost 9,000 reported sales equipment. Probably got 10, or this is a couple-year-old slide, probably get 10 or 12,000 reported sales now that they're able to filter by type, maker, model. It just, how often do we get an unusual type of product that maybe we wouldn't have that exact model sales history? I think of forklifts. Sometimes, it's on the edge of our industry, maybe come in on a skid steer loaders, whatever, things like that. And we put forklift in there, we could soon see how many forklifts we sold in the past, giving us models, makes, and sizes and dollar values to help educate us on what's going on. And so the more you use the system, the more data you'll have, the more information you'll have, the more value it'll bring to you. And this is a great example that out of 9,000 reported sales, we could select which model we're talking about and understand where we were with it. Even as sophisticated as closing rates, you want a report that'll give you closing rates. And closing rates, I'm a big believer that this type of information shouldn't be used as a hammer. Boy, you got to close a certain percentage, or you're in trouble, or where you are. I look at this type of report as that the 100% guys, well, they're always going to be 100% because they only put in what they sell. So that isn't really good intel. But he's still selling, and so we move on. And then we have some that quote tons and don't sell anything. Well, we've probably got a good idea what that is. Maybe he's just a junior guy. But what I use this type of report for is, let's try to move the middle of the pack up a few percentage points, because maybe this young guy here is quoting hard, he's doing a good job, but he's hung up on 12% margin. Maybe he's got to understand that, to break into an area or for a certain product, we could be a little less, but maybe he's wanting to be a champion of it. And if it isn't 12%, I'm not doing the deal. And he's leaving deals on the table that are 10%. So this type of data can give you some information on what to work from, and sit that guy, that individual down and say, how can we make this better? Or what should we do here to help your closing rate? Or do you look at him and say, well, he's just a prolific quoter and likes to do 4 different versions on the same model. And if he does that, then he's still closing pretty good, and let him be. But it's an education information tool for you to use, that you should be able to pull this kind of data out with a click of a button within your CRM. Not just what you sold, not just what's been finalized, but what is the activity out there. The other thing that to talk about is and I've talked about this before at different things, is a good CRM can give you better relationships with your OEM. And they are our partners. They do want the same thing as we want. They want to sell more iron. I believe they want us to be profitable. I believe they want us to be here for the long haul. They just want to help and know what's going on. And this process, I started with the dealership I was at, it has to be 10 years ago now. And it seemed like every Friday afternoon, the local TSM would call me and say, what's on the go? What do we got on the go for product? And you'd spend quite a bit of time trying to dig through the deals and what's going on, and filter them just to his product and so on. And about 10 years ago, I worked with our local TSM, one of the best reps that I've ever worked with. And we come across the program. I would just give him a report out of our CRM every Friday morning of every new branded quote of his brand, with the salesman's name and the customer number. Not the customer's name per se, but the customer's. And he needed to know that. But so a good CRM can help you communicate with your preferred OEMs. Weekly reports of new branded units being quoted is just one example. But I'm telling you, it made us money, because when that TSM had a target unpublished program to get 5 more balers by the end of the quarter, he knew exactly which salesman to call. He didn't have to call me, that I didn't figure out that I had to call the salesman. He knew that salesman XYZ was quoting a baler, and he picked up the phone and he said, hey, do you need any help on this? I got $5,000 extra from a target program. Would that close the deal? And so I truly believe that kind of communication made us more business, and made us more deals, and made us a better partner with our OEM. And actually, we went forward and we had multiple of our preferred OEMs on that same type of reporting. No use, no margins, no information like that. Just that, hey, this item we quoted, and that can roll into lost sales and so on. So the activity is collected from the TSM now, right? Like, he's asking those questions anyways, but the process can be improved and made a lot easier. They need to know if they're quoting units on the ground or ordering, giving them a clear understanding of who's quoting what. Great month-end programs. Lost sales report, better programs. If we showed them we quoted 10 tractors and we lost all 10 tractors to a competitive brand because they had an 84-month lease, I think it's pretty safe to say that probably by next Monday we'd have an 84-month lease too. So it is a great way to automate that communication and be consistently communicating with your OEM if you desire to. Attracting talents. This is a very strong point of mine. The old days, and I've been through it, they give you a price book and a pickup truck and told you to go find some business. Get at her, young man, you'll do fine. What was our success rate with that? What was our confidence level of our salesman? How long did we retain him till he got fed up and pulled his hair out, or we fired him because he didn't sell anything, but we didn't realize he didn't know the area, what was going on. In the future, with a good CRM, of course, you're going to hand him a laptop. He's going to have every customer in his area. He's going to have every piece of equipment they own. He's going to see their buying history. He's going to see what communication was in the past. He's going to look at the past quotes were there. Is there a new program? Could I improve that quote from last time? He's going to look at if he so desires, he's going to look at marketing options where he could be doing some direct mailing or call outs to people that own a certain machine. And all the advantages and ease of building a quote with structure and communication and timely communication with the team. So you don't have this young salesman that's trying to get the boss to tell him what percentage is supposed to be in a new Magnum compared to a new baler or a new whatever. And so I believe that we spend millions of dollars on our service department to keep them there with proper tools and training. And unfortunately, we lag in what we spend on our sales department to give these young people the tools they need to go forward and be good, strong salesmen to make us good, strong dealership. The last thing I want to touch on is what value does a CRM have a dealership? Okay, so what's the future hold? Like, are you for sale? Are you wanting to buy? Are you wanting to expand, join other ones? What's your succession plan? I want you to think about what value a good CRM, well-maintained CRM, brings you to the goodwill portion of the value of your dealership, with a list of all your customers, a list of what they own, all those things we were offering the salesman. Now you could be possibly offering it to the new owners or your new partners at a dealership. And so I believe a good CRM brings a great deal of goodwill value to a dealership. So we think of HQ, just a little tidbit about HQ, but your CRM is the center point for all those things that float around it, bring information to one point, allow you to do all these things, and allow you to communicate and have better visibility with your team and work processes. So I think that's about all I have. I've used up most of my hour. I didn't think there was any fear of that, and I'm wondering if there's any questions, Ben.
The first one, actually, this is a question for me that I wanted to ask, is what business systems do you all integrate with?
Yes, that's an important point. We take information from numerous business systems. Some of the most common ones: DIS, CDK, Basic, HBS. And a couple of smaller ones, but those would be the main four ones that we take information overnight and update all the costs of our equipment. So you have up-to-date costs on any equipment you have on hand.
Great, thank you very much. And we did have some other ones come in. And for anybody who has a burning question they would like to ask, please feel free to submit it now. And I think we will have a little bit of time to answer everybody. Somebody had asked if you load manufacturer programs, and if so, which ones do you load?
Yes, good question. So currently, we have a very strong relationship with the CNH organization. So we have their configurators and things like that in the system, as you might have seen on one of the screens. But that is one of the manufacturers that we do load programs in the same time as the dealers would get them. We load them into HQ, and the system's smart enough, I guess you would say, that if you're pricing on the New Holland side, if you're pricing a Magnum tractor or a case side of Magnum tractor, only the programs pertaining the Magnum tractors would show up there, so you don't get that 55 pages of programs. Every time you open up a certain machine, you'd only get the ones pertaining to that. So yes, it is mostly CNHI that we get the programs from.
Sure. Great. Okay. We had another question come in from someone who says that they're in the market for a CRM change, and they wanted to ask you, Randy, if you have any strong recommendations or any particular ones to stay away from, and if so, why?
I think that's stay away from is a strong statement. I think one of the things that you want to make sure is that one, it's easy to do. Two, it understands the industry. That's something that I've always felt that Iron Solutions brings to the table, is that this program X amount of years ago, 20 some years ago, was built by dealers for dealers. So we understand things like over allowances and trade values and programs and things like that, that some of these ones that might be more from the auto industry or something like that don't fully understand, or can get around to getting that done. And so I would stay away from the ones that don't understand those questions or understand what kind of equipment you were at. The one dealership I was at, we were looking at different business systems, and they also talked about having a quoting tool, and so it was good conversation. And we mentioned a drill, and the young man on the other end of the phone, on the end of the Zoom call, wanted to know if it was a cordless drill or did I plug it in. And so that's some of the perspective on what you'll want to see. You want somebody that understands the pain and trouble you're going through and that can connect with what you need done. And that's the ones I would stay away from that don't know what you need.
Mhm. All right. We have no more questions. I will give it another minute in case anybody wants to submit one. But Randy, I just wanted to ask you, for everybody who's attended with us here today, what would you, if they take away nothing else, what would you want their number one takeaway to be from everything that you've told us?
You'll only get out of what you put in it, and it can be a huge asset or a waste of time. And you want to make it that people want to use it and see value to it, and it will grow and be a part of your everyday life at your dealership.
Well said. All right. And with that, we can wrap it up for today. I'd like to reiterate that today's presentation and audio will be available on the website in the event you want to go back and watch it. Watch your email for more information on that. So, on behalf of Randy and the National Association of Equipment, the North American Equipment Dealers Association, excuse me, we want to thank you for joining today's webinar. Please feel free to reach out to let us know what you thought of the event, if there's any topics you want us to cover in the future. And thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Randy, and I wish everyone a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being here.